Hi everyone, this is going to be a little bit different of a video. I've been wanting to post this for a long time. Well, not a long time, but a little while because it's about something that I'm relatively unfamiliar with. It's actually a medical condition. It's called, if I can even pronounce it right, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I'm basically posting this because I've seen a lot of other people post things like this on YouTube also about their experiences and how they got diagnosed and things like that. Most people aren't familiar with it, including probably a lot of doctors. Um, I have had it likely my whole life, the hypermobility type, which I believe from what I've read is type 3. From the time that I can remember, I was always hypermobile. My fingers bend really weird ways, like my thumb, like that's how my thumb bends naturally. My elbows and my arms bend all sorts of different ways. If I can, like I'll be leaning up against my cubicle at work, and there'd be somebody like, "Why are your arms doing that?" Just weird things like that. I always thought because I was thinner, I was just more flexible. I can bend my arm, back behind my head. A lot of times I'll even sleep like that. It's almost like creating your own pillow. A few friends used to give me trouble about that. But my knees bend backwards when I stand straight up. They don't just go straight. They actually go backwards. My back bends a little farther back than probably most people's, I'm guessing, or maybe a lot farther back. But basically, all this thinking started. I go to the gym 3 times a week, and I've been doing that for a few years now. And I was doing the shoulder press, and basically what happened was I was lifting, and my shoulder popped out of joint. Obviously, my shoulders are one thing that seems to be hypermobile, and it popped out, and I could actually not lower the weight. Because it was out of joint. I mean, it just felt like it was going to rip every tendon and ligament out of my shoulder, and so I had to actually maneuver as weird as that was, it back in place, and then I lowered it, and I had problems sleeping. Um, it wasn't like a terrible pain, but it was like it was out of place and it hurt. And finally, it's now settled, but all the time, if I stretch or do anything like that, I mean, it'll just bam pop like really loud. And most of my joints actually don't pop, which that's another symptom. Um, you know, I, I guess basically, the point of all this, about the hypermobility, because I was just making some notes. I can put my leg over my right leg can go over my head, not well, but it can, and that's been all my life. I'm 29 right now. My ankles, they can bend. Actually, I walked, and I used to bend them when I would walk when I was a little kid. It was kind of odd, but basically, oh yeah, and stretchy skin I know is another symptom of it. I don't really seem to have this symptom too much. Somebody did make a comment about my neck skin seems stretchy or something, and maybe skin on my hands, which I don't believe, is any kind of stretchy at all, really. It is hard to show. I mean, it's not nothing major. But the point of all this was the shoulder thing was really started making me wonder. And so, I did some internet research trying to figure out what was wrong with my shoulder and why it did that. And obviously, I went to the doctor, and they said, well, it might have been dislocated to begin with, and they just said maybe physical therapy. And I was just more curious, so I continued to search online, and that's what led me to this Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And when I read the traits of it, like everybody, looking at me like doing this all the years, they used to call me an alien in second grade because I could bend my hands like that. I just always thought I was different, and it's not debilitating in any way. I don't really have joint aches or pains. I'm told that I can in the future, possibly. I hope not. But I mean, it isn't. It doesn't seem to interfere with my life, so to speak. At least for the time being, I am more so just curious, and that's why I'm putting this video online. I've just, like I was saying, I've noticed a lot of people have put their videos online about their experiences, and basically because I don't know what to do about this. I don't know if anything should be done. I mean, I'm 29. I appear to be doing okay. The shoulder's still an issue. I don't know what to do about that. But, the doctors wouldn't know about this. And from my research, the type of specialist that you would need to see is called if I can use it, genetist or genetic specialist. And I've looked on my insurance, and the only specialist of that type is at Children's Mercy Hospital, which is in Kansas City, and I'm not a child, so I don't know how that would work. And so there's just not a whole lot of support around for this sort of condition, even if you just have questions. And, so I don't really know what to do about it or if anything should be done about it or if I should even see a doctor and maybe try to go somewhere just about it. I mean, if I got the official diagnosis, I'm sure that wouldn't change anything. I don't know if there would be, any kind of other tests that I should take as precautions. I mean, I've never done the hypermobility scale. I understand there's one of those that they can measure like the extent of your hypermobility. Things like that. I've not done any of that because, again, December of 2010 was really when I first got to doing all of this research. And it's amazing, as a kid and everything, how none of this was really, I mean, no one really asked or thought anything different. Like, I guess they just thought the same thing I did, that I was, either just skinny and flexible or different or I mean who knows what they thought. But I mean I'm not tremendously skinny. I was when I was a kid, but I'm about 140 now. I mean, I'm not like 90 pounds and 29 years old or anything ridiculous like that. But I just thought that I would post to YouTube and just kind of get some advice, or comments of any kind. You know, most of my videos are about my cat, and it's a good time to record because she's actually asleep behind me on the couch. My head's in the way, but I just figured that I would post and see what everybody has to say, and I'm sure I'll give a few people this link because I'm just anxious to hear the responses, if nothing else, because I've never actually gotten any feedback about anything like this other than people thinking that I'm tremendously weird. Which I don't mind. It's a unique trait. As long as there aren't any consequences, to that. I know dislocations and things like that, which is a consequence, but I haven't really had any problem with dislocations or anything like that other than my shoulder. And I've read that that's very common with this syndrome. The shoulder is the most common dislocation people get. I mean, I've watched shows, and where people get out of bed in the morning and they have to put their feet in place and all that. So, I mean, I don't have to do anything like that. But, okay, well, I will go ahead and close this video now. I'm just anxious to get any kind of feedback that I can get, and I finally did this video. I've been putting it off for a while, but hope everyone's had a good New Year so far. It's actually Friday the 13th. It's January 13th, 2012. Hope everyone has a good weekend and is having a good year so far.